gentlemen, let's show our appreciation to the United States Air Force, flying in at 1,000 feet at approximately 150 knots. That was wonderful. And I can say, speaking from an old soldier's perspective, anytime you hear that noise, you were very grateful to look up and see the stars of the United States Air Force. And on occasion, United States Navy and Army, those stars on those wings are a very welcome sight, let me tell you. So at this time, we're going to have the colors brought forward. So the U.S. Navy Sea Cadets parade the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, as the colors come forward, please remain standing for the National Anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance. Order, arms. Mr. Halford, will you please join us at the podium?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now be joined by the Reverend Ray Bernadez for the invocation.
Let us pray. On this Memorial Day, may the Lord our God bless all who are present here to memorialize those who died to preserve liberty and freedom in our nation and in our world. May the Lord our God remember all those who sacrificed, gave this nation its greatness, progress, and richness. May our memory of them be an honorable one, full of thanksgiving to the Lord who accepted them into his kingdom. The Lord is for all, and in him we believe, and to him we pray and remember all who died in the service of their country, whether in the air or on land or in the sea. O Lord, be gracious and merciful unto them and their loved ones, and let your light shine upon them, for you are our God, and unto you we attribute glory now and forever. Amen.
Okay, so with the flag on the hill at the cemetery, we're going to have the U.S. Naval Cadet Color Guard retire these colors, retire the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. We would like to thank the good Reverend and Mr. Ralph Halford, who happens to be the great-grandson of one of the Medal of Honor winners, laying at rest here at the Mare Island Naval Cemetery. And we would also like to thank the cadets of the U.S. Naval Richard O'Kane Division of the U.S. Navy Sea Cadets. That is a special unit. Richard O'Kane happened to be the skipper of the USS Tang, which was the highest scoring American submarine during World War II, which was constructed here at the shipyards at Mare Island. The USS Tang, by all reports, is responsible for 119,000 tons of Imperial Japanese Navy shipping and shipping of the merchant fleet of Imperial Japan going to the bottom of the Pacific. And there's an additional footnote to that, because Commander O'Kane and his submarine, unfortunately, on the night of October 24th, 1944, when they were expending the last torpedo of that particular patrol in the Strait of Formosa, which is an island today we all know as Taiwan, unfortunately there was a technical malfunction with that torpedo, and that torpedo ran a 360-degree circuitous route, and so the USS Tang ultimately was sunk by its own torpedo. And later that night, Commander O'Kane and 12 other men from the Tang were picked up by the Japanese. But unfortunately, at the end of the war, only 8 would survive that last year of the war. And they would come home to relate the sad, very unfortunate tale of the USS Tang to the families who had lost their loved ones. But be that as it may, the USS Tang, unfortunately, out of action the last year of the war, was still the highest ranking submarine in our fleet. So congratulations to the retired Rear Admiral O'Kane. So at this point, we will move forward with our program. Okay, so before we bring forth our new mayor, Mayor Robert McConnell, to give his welcome remarks, let us welcome Vice Mayor Rosanna VERDER-ALIGA, who will now acknowledge the elected officials who are present, federal, state, county, local, and also any other non-elected officials and their proxies. Mrs. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Major Hayes. Good morning, Vallejo. I have the honor to introduce our elected officials that are present this morning. Solano County Supervisor, District 2, Ms. Monica Brown is here with us. Vallejo Mayor Robert McConnell. Vallejo Council members, Pippin Du is here with us. Council member Katie Meisner is here with us. And representing Congressman Thompson's office is Mr. Edgar Rosales. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor McConnell is a decorated combat vet. He served in Vietnam in the 9th Infantry Division, the old Reliables Infantry Division. He was elected to the City Council in 2011, and as you all know, was recently elected Mayor of Vallejo in November 2020. Let's welcome our new mayor.
Good morning. On behalf of the City of Vallejo, especially the people of Vallejo, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for being here. It is so important to be here to demonstrate how we feel about those who have indeed given their lives, but also to say thank you to those many, many people in uniform, in past and present, who have spent those long and very difficult hours at times to do what the duty called for. Because without that sacrifice, without those hours, without that honor, we would not be what we are today. And so to all of those and to you, I say on behalf of the people of the City of Vallejo, thank you. Thank you so very much. We could never have done this without all of you. With that, I will proceed to read this proclamation that was drafted for Memorial Day of May 31st, 2021. Whereas since our great nation's birth, our beloved America has been blessed with an infinite chain of dedicated service members who have served with patriotism, honor, and distinction. And from the bombs bursting in air over New England to the halls of Montezuma, seas of the Philippines, skies of Europe, frozen tundra of Korea, rice paddies of Vietnam, and the mountains and deserts of Iraq and Afghanistan, generations of brave warriors have valiantly fought our country's battles in the land, the air, and the sea. And whereas on Memorial Day, we pay tribute to our fallen heroes who fought and died for our beloved country, whose gratitude they will always have. And we remember them today for what they fought for and who they were, proud, and dedicated men and women, often far from home, too young, guided by a deep and abiding comradeship for fellow service members, love for their families and friends, and selfish service for our great nation. And whereas, let us always remember and respect our fallen warriors by living up to the ideals they died defending. And it is our charge to preserve liberty, to advance justice, and to sow the seeds of peace with honor and courage and devotion worthy of our fallen heroes. So let us rededicate ourselves today to these noble objectives by staying the course and sustaining our gains to prove that our city's and nation's best days are still ahead. And whereas on Monday, May 31st, 2 local ceremonies will be held. The first here today, conducted by the City of Vallejo for the 150th commemoration since 1871 at the Mare Island Naval Cemetery, and the second to follow at 11 a.m., conducted by the U.S. Subvets, Mare Island branch, at the Vallejo Navy Veterans Memorial Park behind City Hall. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Robert McConnell, Mayor of the City of Vallejo, and the City Council, do hereby declare Memorial Day, May 31st, 2021, as Honoring Our Fallen Heroes Day, a day to remember and pray for the souls of those who died in war as they rest in eternal peace. And we urge the citizens of Vallejo to attend our annual Memorial Day ceremonies, to always keep our fallen heroes and their comrades and families close in our hearts. And we ask everyone to participate in a national moment of remembrance at 3 p.m. this local time, dated this 17th day of May in 2021. Mayor and honorable members of the City Council, again, thank you so very much for being here, and I will return this to our Master of Ceremonies. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you, Mayor. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to have portions of of Governor Newsom's proclamation read by Julene Caracas of the Women's Veteran Division of the California Department of Veterans Affairs. Julene.
Good morning. My name is Julene Caracas. I'm a manager at the California Department of Veteran Affairs, or CalVet. I'm also a U.S. veteran. It is my honor and privilege today to read the Governor's proclamation. I'm especially honored to be here, as I would like to share with you my friend's name, who passed away in 2007 in Cobb Spiker, Iraq, Tikrit. Senior Airman Jason Nathan of the 48th Security Forces Squadron in RAF Lakenheath. He's a brave young man who passed away in IED while serving the Iraqi police. Thank you again for letting me read the Governor's proclamation declaring Memorial Day today. On Memorial Day, we pay tribute to these fallen heroes who gave their lives while defending our Constitution and our freedoms. In enduring respect and gratitude for their sacrifice, we hold in our hearts those who fought to preserve our way of life, never to see their loved ones again. Every year, Californians uphold the solemn tradition that began as Decoration Day in 1868, in memory of those lost during the Civil War. In 1971, Congress established Memorial Day as a national day of remembrance of all Americans who have perished in our nation's wars. Today, we honor them. We hold dear those interred in our 3 state cemeteries, 9 national cemeteries, and all of the local cemeteries throughout California, as well as those who have come home in spirit, if not in body. They are forever etched in the hearts and minds of their loved ones and fellow citizens of a grateful nation. With some of their names gracing monuments in Washington, D.C., state capitals, and our town squares. In memory of the fallen, I have ordered that flags be flown at half-staff on all state buildings and grounds throughout California. In addition, I ask you to join me by participating in the National Moment of Remembrance at 3 p.m. on Memorial Day, a shared moment of silence to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. Now, therefore, I, Gavin Newsom, Governor of the State of California, do hereby proclaim May 31st, 2021 as Memorial Day. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the great seal of the State of California to be affixed this 21st day of May 2021.
Thank you. Now please let's welcome back to the podium Vice Mayor VERDER-ALIGA.
Thank you, Major Hayes. I have the honor of introducing our keynote speaker for today. Former Mayor Bob Sampayan was born in Fort Belvoir, Virginia in 1952. He is the son of the late Major Rupert Sampayan, who served with distinction in the U.S. Army during World War II, Korean War, and the Vietnam War. Bob Sampayan had a successful law enforcement career starting in 1973, and he retired in 2006. He was elected to the Vallejo City Council in 2011, and then served as mayor and elected in 2016. As mayor from January 2017 to January 2021, Bob aggressively pursued outside-the-box programs for our cash-strapped city to fully leverage our government resources to finally improve the Mare Island Cemetery. He led the city in securing the DoD IRT program, acquiring support from veterans, volunteers, state legislators, and the California State Guard. While working with Representative Thompson, Senator Feinstein, and then Senator Harris to pass federal legislation, and finally ensuring that the Mare Island Naval Cemetery provision was intact with the fiscal year NDAA, which became public law on January 1st, 2021. Before I steal more thunder from our former Mayor Bob Sampayan, let's give a warm welcome to former Mayor of Vallejo, Bob Sampayan.
Thank you so very much, Vice Mayor. Well, thank you all for being here this morning. It's a beautiful day here in Vallejo to honor our fallen. Before I begin with my comments, I would like to invite my wife, Ramona, up to the podium to read an article that I saw the other day that truly embodies what Memorial Day is. So with that, my wife, Ramona Sampayan.
Today will be the most expensive holiday on the calendar. Every hot dog, every burger, every spin around the lake, or drink with friends and family is a debt purchased by others. This is not about all who've served. That day comes in the fall. This one is in honor of those who paid in life and blood, whose moms never saw them again, whose dads wept in private, whose wives raised kids alone, and whose kids only remembered them from pictures. This isn't simply a day off. This is a day to remember that others paid for every free breath you ever get to take. Freedom.
Thank you, Ramona. Yeah, I would have really had a struggle reading that. I tried it several times, and wow. It really pulled some heartstrings for me. Again, thank you so very much for allowing me to speak with you. I am truly humbled and honored to have been asked to speak to you this morning about my thoughts on Memorial Day 2021. However, before I begin, I'd like to thank Colonel Nestor Aliga, Colonel, for his never-ending dedication to our veterans by keeping them and those that have gone before them foremost in our minds with as many programs and remembrances. Thank you, Colonel. I'd also like to thank all of you for coming out to honor our fallen heroes on this National Day of Remembrance. You know, on social media, people talk about Memorial Day as being about family get-togethers, barbecues, camping trips, the opening day of summer, 3-day weekends, and the notorious Memorial Day sales. Well, what really disappoints me are the so few posts I see about the significance of what Memorial Day actually is. Now, even so, there were a couple of poignant posts I saw on social media that are really etched in my mind. The first are quotes, which read as follows: Armed Forces Day is for those in uniform. Veterans Day is for those that served and hung up their uniforms. And Memorial Day is for those that never came home to hang up their uniforms. And the other one was a rendering I saw of the Memorial Wall in DC. It's of a former soldier with his hand against the wall. And in the background are images of soldiers from the Civil War To the present, looking back at him, his head is bowed in sorrow, and they are also bowed in sorrow. I know many of you understand that. And here's another reason I'll never forget. As a son of a World War II and Korean War veteran, my dad used to speak of the horrors of war. He spoke about the tremendous loss of life that he saw, men that were his friends that were killed, and many more that were wounded, men who wouldn't come home to their families the way he was able to. He carried these stories his entire life, and I also remember a piece of shrapnel that was embedded in his arm from one of the skirmishes that he was in. My brother and I often asked him about that piece of metal, that piece of shrapnel, and he didn't want to talk about it. And there were times I would see this very pained look in his face, and he would ask my brother and I to leave the room, where he would sit in silence. I can only imagine how he must have been feeling. And I know many of you that are here today know that same pain. The same pain of the loss and the sorrow of losing one of your comrades in arms. That said, I will not forget, and this is why I thank not only my dad, but all our veterans and our fallen for their service, bravery, and dedication to our nation. Memorial Day is a day of reflection and remembrance. We honor the more than 1 million men and women from the Revolutionary War to the global war on terrorism who have lost their lives, who helped preserve and defend our freedoms, but never got the chance to come home as veterans. After Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act, Memorial Day has been officially observed on the last Monday of May since 1968. It has its roots in Decoration Day, a day when the Union forces honored those who died in the harm's way during the Civil War. The word decoration usually implies a celebration, while memorial might suggest something else. But when we hear someone say Happy Memorial Day, it expresses a celebration of life for our fallen heroes and the celebration of our freedom and democracy. Right outside the mayor's office at the Vallejo City Hall, there's a large frame vertical showcase with pencil-etched names of our Vallejo heroes who are memorialized at the Vietnam Memorial Wall in D.C. Those are the 28 service members who entered service in Vallejo but died in Vietnam. The showcase is there to remind our residents, the sitting mayor, the sitting city council, that freedom is not free, and that our fallen warriors paid the ultimate sacrifice so that we can continue to enjoy the glories of America. The showcase was also a solemn reminder for me to honor our past. So when the Mare Island Naval Cemetery issue came up, I knew that we as a city had to act, and that I must make these hallowed grounds a high priority. Therefore, it is only fitting that I thank the following people for the revitalization of the Mare Island Cemetery. Thank you for making it a reality. They are Commander Ralph Parrott, U.S. Navy retired, Colonel Nestor Aliga, U.S. Army retired, Congressman and Vietnam veteran Mike Thompson, U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein, then U.S. Senator and now Vice President Kamala Harris, Department of Defense, Innovative Readiness Training, Major Hayes, thank you. The 801st Engineering Company, Mare Island U.S. Reserve Unit, Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Carnegie Ohanessian, the City of Vallejo Public Works, and the many, many, many volunteers and veterans groups that are represented here today that I had the honor to work with. I want to thank you all for honoring our heroes and their families by renovating these sacred grounds. Finally, a part of Memorial Day should not be ignored is the national moment of remembrance. Others have spoken of this, but I encourage everyone here to pause wherever you are at 3 p.m. today for a moment of silence to remember and honor those who died in the service of our great nation. In closing, many of our national heroes that are buried in their final resting places in our national cemeteries, cemeteries around the world, and in graves long forgotten. May they rest in peace and in God's grace. Thank you. Major Hayes.
Thank you, Mayor. That was an outstanding speech, but you're not done yet. Ladies and gentlemen, for the last couple years, the United States Army Engineer Regiment, for good, bad, or indifferent, has been here in the Mare Island Naval Cemetery making improvements. And it's our fervent hope that you enjoy the updates that we've been instrumental in. And hopefully here in the near future, there will be even more dramatic improvements made to the sacred grounds here at this island. But Colonel Aliga wants to recognize the 801st Engineer Soldiers. And so we're not going to have the entire company come up here and get awards, but we are going to pick out one deserving soldier. So Sergeant First Class Darvin Negron, post.
He really has a smile on his face. I want to thank Major Hayes. And by the way, in case you're wondering about Major Douglas Hayes, he's the S3, or Operations Planning and Training Officer for the 397th Engineer Battalion, based in Mare, and lives there with his wife and 3 daughters. He was also the officer in charge of the boots-on-the-ground Army Reserve engineering soldiers that started refurbishing the Mare Island Naval Cemetery in August 2019 until COVID shut it down in March of 2020. Then restarted in September 2020 to November 2020. And I often got to see Major Hayes and the soldiers of the 801st, 322nd, 374th, and 397th engineering units here when the skies turned red and the temperature soared well over 100 degrees, working to complete this magnificent project. I was just nothing but impressed. So after our rededication ceremony on Veterans Day in 2020, before I went to the sunset as a former mayor, I wanted to give the 74 engineering soldiers that diligently work here some recognition. But with the COVID shutdown, sadly, we couldn't do it until today. So we have Sergeant Negron here today, and I'm going to read the Certificate of Appreciation presented to Sergeant Negron, which reads, "In recognition of your exceptional engineering professionalism, relentless perseverance, and dedication to duty, which resulted in the successful refurbishment of the Mare Island Naval Cemetery, the City of Vallejo, and especially the soldiers, Marines, sailors, and family members buried here at the oldest naval cemetery on the West Coast are grateful for your immeasurable contributions to transform these hallowed grounds back to a national shrine condition. Thank you for serving our great nation with loyalty, dedication, and honor." This was signed on December 29th, 2020 by me, Bob Sampayan, former mayor of the City of Vallejo. With that, I would like to thank Sergeant Negron. Thank you so much, Sergeant. Well done, sir. Very well done. Thank you.
Appreciate that very much. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is the Command Sergeant Major of the 63rd Readiness Division. That is a 2-star general headquarters in Mountain View, California, the old Moffett Field. And the 63rd Readiness Division is effectively responsible for managing and maintaining and securing all United States Army Reserve facilities from Texas to California. And the individual that is the senior enlisted member of that division is Command Sergeant Major Patrick McKee. And let me tell you a little bit about him. Command Sergeant Major McKee was born and raised in Lincoln, Nebraska, which immediately tells us he was an Iowa Hawkeye fan. So. He is currently serving as the Command Sergeant Major for the 63rd Readiness Division. His previous assignments was Sergeant Major for the Deputy Commanding General, United States Army Reserve Command. Sergeant Major McKee's military education includes Sergeant Major course, Garrison Leaders course, Brigade and CSM Pre-Command course. His undergraduate degree is in education from the University of Nebraska and is pursuing a master's degree in military science. CSM McKee's military awards and decorations include the Combat Action Badge, the Legion of Merit, Bronze Star Medal, the Afghanistan Campaign Medal.
Oh, that goes on forever. Just don't worry about it.
Roger. I would have finished about 3 o'clock this afternoon, just so you guys know. Come on in, Sergeant Major.
Sure. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Welcome.
No, not an Iowa Hawkeyes fan. Graduated from University of Nebraska. You know, the N on the helmet of Nebraska stands for knowledge, by the way, if you didn't know that. So, you know, first of all, to all our elected officials, distinguished visitors, all our veterans, our families, thank you. Thank you so much for showing up today. Thank you for being here on this important day. You know, my wife, Jen, told me that my speech was too long. It was about 15 pages. So we cut it down a little bit. You know, CSMs tend to be a little long-winded. Major Hayes can attest to that. So I'll just say a few comments, and I'm honored to be here. Memorial Day is a day for us to honor the men and women who gave their lives in defense of our nations, its values, our freedoms, and our liberties. As previously stated, Memorial Day was first observed shortly after the end of the Civil War and called Decoration Day. Families, primarily widows, would remember their loved ones by decorating grave sites with flowers and flags. And that was on both sides. They came together. Today, we continue the tradition of placing flags or flowers on the graves of our fallen, and we gather remembrance to honor their sacrifice. We owe them and their families that they left behind our gratitude, our respect, and our honor. On this Memorial Day 2021, we gather here at the Mare Island Naval Cemetery on the 105th anniversary of Mare Island Cemetery to remember the service and sacrifice of those buried there. This cemetery, correct me if I'm wrong, is the oldest military cemetery on the West Coast and provides us a glimpse of what was and what should be going forward. Our countrymen who are buried here tell our history of where our nation has been, conflicts, our tragedies, and committed service. This history must not be forgotten because it is our stories, our shared experiences that define our nation. Although time has passed and we've changed the colors and designs of our uniform, and we fight on different battlegrounds than those who came before us, our ships are no longer coal-fired, Old Glory has a few more stars on it, and the world has changed in innumerable ways. Our primary reason for service remains the same as it always was. We serve because we're called to do something greater than ourselves, just like those who served before us. In the Army, we consider our most important asset to be our people. Our Army is an all-volunteer Army. It's your Army, and it consists of citizens and immigrants, people of all races, genders, religions, and backgrounds. Our Army is our soldiers, our Department of the Army civilians, and our families. It reflects the diversity of our nation and is our greatest strength. As service members, we continue to serve and sacrifice in the belief of the greater good to support and defend our nation, our freedoms, and our citizens. However, make no mistake that today's service members stand on the shoulders of those who went before us, especially those who gave their last full measure. Today, we pay special tribute to those people, the men and women who have paid the ultimate price. We can honor them by participating in the National Moment of Remembrance, a call to pause at 1500, 3 p.m. local for you civilians, and reflect on and remember on those who died in service to our nation. For our Gold Star families, we honor your sacrifice on this and every day for the loss of your service member, and are grateful to the service they gave to this country. We owe you a never-ending debt. So remember, on this and every Memorial Day, we honor our commitment to never forget those who have served and fell for our nation and its liberties. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Senator Alex Padilla. On Memorial Day, we honor the dedication and ultimate sacrifice paid by so many of our nation's service members. My heart goes out to all the families remembering a lost loved one on this day. Nearly 1,000 soldiers, Marines, and sailors are laid to rest in California's Mare Naval Cemetery, the oldest naval cemetery on the West Coast. They represent only a small fraction of the generations of Americans who have given their lives to safeguard our country and our democracy. Each of these soldiers and sailors was precious to their families, their friends, and their communities. We must always remember the bravery of the American service members who gave everything for this country. They fought on front lines overseas, responded to natural disasters, and delivered aid to keep our nation safe. I'm humbled to reflect on the ultimate sacrifice they made and to honor their service and their lives on this Memorial Day.
Thank you for inviting me to mark this day as we remember the veterans who have made the ultimate sacrifice. And thank you to every veteran and service member here today who fought on behalf of this country. On Memorial Day, we pause to honor the enduring sacrifices our men and women in uniform made to help keep us free. But today isn't just about paying our respects. It's also about living up to the promises we make to our fighting men and women when they return home. That's why, as chairman of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, I will continue working each day to hold the VA accountable and tear down the barriers that keep veterans here at home waiting too long for the benefits and the care that they deserve. While we can never fully repay the debt we owe to those who gave everything in the line of duty, let us remember and honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Maybe we live up to their legacy each and every day.
It's a true honor to be with you today on Memorial Day as your representative and as a veteran myself. Memorial Day began in the wake of the Civil War to honor fallen Union soldiers. The first Memorial Day, leaders from across our nation went to Arlington to honor those killed in the line of duty. Leaders paused for a moment to honor the service of our fallen veterans and to decorate their graves. After World War I, Memorial Day was expanded nationwide to honor all those who died in American wars. Since then, it's become a solemn moment to grieve with those who lost loved ones in the line of duty. Today, we honor service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform and recognize the heroism of our veterans. President Franklin D. Roosevelt once said, "Those who have long enjoyed such privileges as we enjoy forget in time that men have died to win them." Today is an important opportunity to remember that our freedom is not free. As President Roosevelt's words reminded us, we are free because of our men and women in uniform. Because they served us, we must in turn serve them. While today we mark a commitment to veterans of all wars, we take particular care to remember our responsibility to serve Iraq and Afghanistan war veterans. Earlier this spring, President Biden announced he will bring our troops home from Afghanistan, ending our nation's longest war. He addressed the nation saying, "War in Afghanistan was never meant to be a multi-generational undertaking. We were attacked, we went to war with clear goals, we achieved those objectives. Bin Laden is dead and Al-Qaeda is degraded in Iraq, in Afghanistan. And it's time to end the forever war." And he's right. It's high time we brought our service members home. And as we end those conflicts, we must shift our focus on serving those veterans. There are more than 2 million veterans who served in the Middle East, in Iraq, and in Afghanistan. We must work to make certain that all veterans have every opportunity to put a roof over their heads, to secure a job, and to have health care. And we must help their families. I've co-authored legislation to assist disabled veterans who are looking for jobs and legislation to increase health care access for women veterans. I've also co-sponsored legislation to ensure veterans have the mental health services they need. And as we work to bring our men and women home, and serve them when they return, we must also help those in Afghanistan who worked with us. We must work with our international partners to protect families, particularly vulnerable women and children. Know that I will continue working to serve our veterans and their families, not just today on Memorial Day, but every day. Thank you, and God bless America.
Good morning. I'm Bill Dodd, your California State Senator from District 3. Memorial Day is our time to commemorate the ultimate devotion of duty of more than 656,000 men and women who died in battle, as well as the over 552,000 who died in service, but not in battle. I thank everyone here today on this 150th Memorial Day at the Mare Island Naval Cemetery, as we remember all the veterans buried here and honor all the past and present military members who selflessly risked their lives every day so we can enjoy our freedom and the American way of life. I also want to express my gratitude to all involved in refurbishing the Mare Island Naval Cemetery, the Department of Defense, Innovative Readiness and Training Team, the City of Vallejo Public Works Department, the California State Military Reserve, the many, many volunteers, and of course, the soldiers of the 801st, 322nd, 374th, and the 397th Engineer U.S. Army Reserve units who worked to bring these hallowed grounds back to national shrine standards. In 2018, I authored Senate Joint Resolution 26, urging that U.S. Congress act favorably to the Senate and House bills and provisions of the fiscal year 21 National Defense Authorization Act introduced by Senator Dianne Feinstein and Congressman Mike Thompson to transfer the Mare Island Naval Cemetery to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs by June 30th, 2022. We must continue to honor our living veterans by doing our part in protecting the freedoms that we take for granted. And more importantly, let's willingly share our time, talents, and treasures to improve the lives of our veterans, our troops in uniform, their families, and all Americans. May God bless you and your families and the United States of America.
Hello, I'm Assemblymember Tim Grayson. It is both appropriate and necessary to recognize this historic moment, the 150th Memorial Day celebration here at the Mare Island Naval Cemetery. Thank you to every individual who has worked so hard over the years to restore the Mare Island Naval Cemetery to national shrine standards as a tribute to nearly 1,000 souls that have been laid to rest at this location. I extend my personal thanks to every veteran, active duty member, and their families. Memorial Day is an opportunity for communities to come together and remember those we have lost, thank those who have served, and send our blessings to those currently in active duty. We must especially remember the countless men and women who have given their lives in service for our country, as well as their families. They made the ultimate sacrifice in order to protect the way of life for future generations. While we could never fully repay this tremendous debt, it is imperative that we continue to uphold our freedoms. Memorial Day is not merely one day a year. It is a daily call to remember the lives of our fallen heroes, to respect our military, and to pass on these heroic acts to the younger generations. Above all, Memorial Day should remind us of the immeasurable value of our freedoms, a cost paid by our servicemen and women, and I cherish the liberty to hold these rights dear. Thank you. May God bless you, your families, and our United States of America.
Greetings from IRT here in Alaska to all our friends in Mare Island. I'm Colonel George Cochran-Harris, and I'm the Deputy Director of IRT at the Pentagon. I want everyone to know that Mare Island is one of our favorite missions. We're so proud of the work that we've been able to do with the community in bringing that wonderful cemetery back. The cemetery is a beautiful tribute to all of our great service members who are laid to rest there. And we were so fortunate and so proud and so honored to be a part of restoring it to its original grandeur. I wish I could be there with you today. We all wish we could be there with you today. and we considered it a great honor and a great privilege to help restoring that wonderful cemetery. To all of our friends at Mare Island, have a beautiful DV Day, a wonderful Memorial Day, and we look forward to continuing partnering with you.
Hello, I'm Captain Paul Dale, Commanding Officer of Naval Support Activity Monterey. Unfortunately, I'm unable to attend the 150th Memorial Day celebration in person. However, I'm honored to be able to attend in a virtual capacity. This past year has challenged all of us. It has fundamentally changed the way we communicate. Who knew of Zoom or Teams before the pandemic? In many ways, the pandemic severed our ability to interact and connect with each other in person. But in other ways, it has made us flexible and grow so we can stay connected. Americans don't give up. We are taught early to adapt and persevere. I want to thank Nestor, Sheely, and the City of Vallejo for inviting me to speak today. I'm honored to participate in these types of events. Being a part of the Mare Island Naval Cemetery 150th Memorial Day ceremony makes today even more special to me. Memorial Day is a time when we honor and remember the men and women who died fighting to defend the United States. Today's event brings to the forefront the valor of those who fought and died for our country. As we mark this day of remembrance, let's also recognize the hard work that went into restoring this hallowed ground and the collaborative effort that made it happen. It's befitting that we are joined today together on Memorial Day, whether in person or in spirit, to honor those laid to rest at the Mare Island Naval Cemetery. For the nearly 1,000 Marines, sailors, and family members buried in this historic Mare Island Naval Cemetery from 1856 to 1921, we celebrate the transformation of their final resting place back to its national shrine standard. Of those buried here, 860 were service members and veterans, mostly from the Navy Marines. The men and women who were laid to rest made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. They selflessly placed their lives on the line for our freedom. Memorial Day is a day for all Americans. It's a day when we remember the men and women who died in battle. It's an opportunity for all of us to reflect upon those who are gone and express our profound gratitude for their service and their sacrifice. Several years ago, one of our presidents said, "Whenever you doubt that courage and goodness and selflessness is possible, stop and look to a veteran." As we remember the fallen today, let's also acknowledge the valor and patriotism of those who are still with us. Again, my sincerest appreciation and gratitude to the Department of Defense Innovative Readiness Training Team, the City of Vallejo, and all the many volunteers who contributed to the restoration of the Mare Island Naval Cemetery and who put together today's event. As the oldest naval cemetery on the West Coast, the Mare Island Naval Cemetery stands as a testament to the men and women who left their families, homes, and lives behind, not for any recognition or fame, but to protect our country and maintain our way of life. It has truly been an honor to participate in today's ceremony, especially on the 150th Memorial Day celebration. Thank you, and as we say in the Navy, fair winds and following seas to all.
We gather to celebrate Memorial Day. This is indeed a day to remember for this historic cemetery. Only a few short years ago, this sacred place was in such a state of decay as to dishonor the heroes buried here. Now it is a place of honor and respect for the fallen. It is also a monument to what is possible when people unite with purpose to right a historic wrong. My sincere thanks go out to Shelley Lockmiller for coordinating all the efforts to make today a success. The City of Vallejo and Vallejo Navy League deserve special recognition for sponsoring this beautiful event. Melissa Tigbow and Terrence Davis of the Vallejo Public Works Department worked tirelessly in preparing the cemetery for this ceremony. A very special shout out goes to the local stalwarts, Vallejo's own Colonel Nestor Aliga, whose sheer doggedness and tenacity were instrumental. Nestor organized a nationwide petition drive, and he pressed, and continued to press the political leaders to get the legislation done. Former Mayor Bob Sampayan and the City Council and the current City Manager Greg Nyhoff made sure of adequate resources for the DoD Innovative Readiness Project. The story of the cemetery's rebirth is a story best told through the acts of dedicated individuals building awareness of the deplorable state of the cemetery and the need to fix it. Rachel Zirin, formerly of the Vallejo Times-Herald, spearheaded the effort with her timely articles. The story is also a story of finding opportunities for improvements. The great opportunity in the Mare Island story is the DoD Innovative Readiness Project. Mr. Karnik Ohanessian, Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Navy for Environment, was responsible for identifying this opportunity and for shepherding the project through to approval. Major Douglas Hayes, U.S. Army, and the soldiers of the 801st Engineer Company, as well as the 322nd and the 374th Engineer Companies and the 397th Engineer Battalion that did the fine work you see today. The 801st, a local reserve unit, literally took ownership of the cemetery to make the effort a resounding success. Finally, the ownership transfer to the VA was achieved through the efforts of Congressman Mike Thompson and Senator Dianne Feinstein and their staffs. The legislation did not succeed at first, but they stuck with it and gained passage the second time around. Another key player in the legislative effort was Mr. Thomas Banzel of Veterans and Military Families for Progress, through his lobbying efforts and his mobilizing support of the national veterans organizations. In closing, thank you for the opportunity to tell the story of how a group of dedicated citizens, veterans, a local reporter, government leaders, and soldiers worked together to achieve justice for this historic burial ground. It is fitting to the memory of those buried here that this story be told on Memorial Day, for it is a story to remember as we remember the sacrifices of those buried here today. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Thomas Banzel. I've been referred to in the Mare Island Renovation and Restoration Project as one of the behind-the-scenes guys. I'm the lawyer for Veterans and Military Families for Progress here in Washington, D.C. I'm their legislative counsel. A few years ago, my good friend, Captain Ralph Parrott, United States Navy, retired, came to me with photographs of the Mare Island Cemetery in a very, very worn out condition. Needless to say, I was not happy. We decided to go to the Department of Veterans Affairs to see if they could do something about fixing the cemetery up. In meeting directly with the Undersecretary, and I had a personal meeting with the Secretary, we were turned away. And we were given a reason that they legally couldn't do it. To that end, I was able to draft a piece of legislation, and I took it to, with the help of Ralph, I took it to Congressman Mike Thompson's office, where his staff worked on it and came up with a bill that was crafted enough so that it could be acceptable in the House. We took this over to Senators Dianne Feinstein and then Senator Kamala Harris's office. The bill was crafted a little bit more, and together Mike Thompson, working with Senator Feinstein and Senator Harris, put a bill together that was acceptable for legislation. We took it to the various committees in the House and Senate, and the Senate voted the bill out despite the objections of the Department of Veterans Affairs. The bill was not voted out in the House, and we never really found out why. The following year, with the help of Senator Johnny Isaacson's staff and the incoming chairman, Senator Jerry Moran, with the help of Senator John Tester, and again, Senator Dianne Feinstein, and still Senator Kamala Harris, working with Mike Thompson and the new leadership in the House, Congressman Mark Takano, also from California, we were able to get the House version of the bill voted out and the Senate version of the bill voted out. When it came to a compromise committee vote, the bill failed. The third year, Senator Feinstein, working directly with Mike Thompson, decided to craft legislation to put it in as part of the National Defense Authorization Act. And working again with Mark Takano, the bill was successfully passed. Now it is the law. The Department of Veterans Affairs will take over the cemetery in perpetuity as part of this bill. During this whole time, my good friend, Captain Ralph Parrott, was working behind the scenes with the Pentagon in the Innovation and Readiness Training Program. And he worked with a gentleman named Mr. Oanesian. They crafted enough of a program to get the Mare Island Cemetery project up and running. It took on a life of its own. I have to say that I am just amazed when I saw the difference in a film recently of what the cemetery looks like now. I am just so grateful to all the people in California for their efforts in making this cemetery restoration project a real possibility and a real program. The interment of those brave men and women that are in that cemetery deserve what we have done for them. I have to give a very, very special thanks to the city's management, the city's organization groups, and most importantly, to Colonel Nestor Aliga, U.S. Army retired. Had it not been for all his efforts, this would have never gone anywhere. His efforts just in the Department of Veterans Affairs and within his own organization, the Veterans of Foreign War, this project became a priority. VFW had it as a list of legislative agenda's top 10 items for 2 years in a row. Without that kind of support from the veteran service organizations, which I also lobbied very heavily with, all the offices here in Washington, D.C. are headquartered somewhere nearby, and I know all the legislative directors. I worked with them, and there was not a single organization that didn't support our efforts. So thanks to them, but thanks to Nestor. He really did a fantastic job. He worked tirelessly. He bugged me all the time, which I am thankful for. I have nothing but praise for him, and I just am so grateful for him and Ralph to allow me to be a part of the team that got the legislation passed. And I'm hoping that the cemetery will be restored to its full standing as a place of honor in cemeteries where our veterans lay. Thank you so much. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, and I wish you all the best.
Hi everybody, I'm Shelley Berkeley, the CEO and Senior Provost for Touro University. I am so excited to be here with all of you to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Mare Island on this beautiful Memorial Day. I am so proud of the fact that Mare Island played such a significant role in the defense of this great country of ours. And I have a story to tell. My father, who was a 17-year-old kid when he enlisted in the Navy at the beginning of World War II, saw action in the Pacific for 2 years, never docked. It was the USS Langley. When they finally did dock after 2 years of continuous service in the Pacific, my father, who then was about a 19-year-old kid, had an appendicitis attack. He was taken off the USS Langley on a stretcher, transported to Mare Island, where he had his appendix operation right in this hospital. So whenever I look at this hospital, I think of my dad and the service that he provided for this great country. Touro University is so proud to be a part of the city of Vallejo and be located on Mare Island. We want to celebrate and acknowledge all of the servicemen and women who worked here on Mare Island, kept our nation safe, and ultimately saved the entire world. Thank you, Mare Island, and thank you, Navy, for making a significant difference in all of our lives. We love you. Happy Memorial Day.
Ladies and gentlemen, every year in November and May, Joyce lays a wreath at the memorial of the USS Boston to honor the veterans. We're going to have her say a few words about that. While she's coming up, just to tell you, so like the USS Tang, the USS Boston had a detail that came down to the south into the island to work at the arsenal. And just like the Tang, they ran into a bit of tragic misfortune. Miss Giles.
Several years ago, Peggy O'Drain and I started working on a book about the burials here at the cemetery. And we published one several years ago, and we just updated it and wanted to include all the work that the reservists did in upgrading our cemetery. And I presented one to Major Hayes and to Mr. Sampanian to show appreciation for the work they did on it. Every year we put a wreath out on the USS Boston. I've already put the wreath there because I felt like we walked away from the crowd each year to lay the wreath, and so this year I went ahead and already put the wreath out there. And the USS Boston was here in dry dock in 1892. The sailors, 15 of them, were sent down here to the ammunition area to unload ammunition, and they maybe got a little careless. They don't really know the real cause. Somebody may have dropped one as they were unloading, and a big explosion. It killed 12 of them instantly. Horrible deaths. Limbs were blown off, heads. Hittinger was the gunner. He was found on top of a building with limbs blown off. And 3 died the following day. I can't imagine how they were lucid enough for an interview, but I have a book in the museum where they did interview them, and even though they were in horrible pain, one begged for them to shoot him because to relieve him of the pain that he was in. And they died the following day. But they were young men. Now that the markers have been cleaned up, you can see the names and the dates, and you can read how young they were, 19, 20 years old. And their 15 graves are in front of the big monument. And so that happened on June 13th, 1892 at 11:30 a.m. So each year I've been coming out here maybe 20 years or so, and we've always put a wreath out there to memorialize them. So the wreath is there now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to hear a rendition of taps as the call is sounded at funerals, wreath-laying ceremonies, and memorial services. We have a Mr. Ronald Aquistapes, who's been playing taps around the Bay Area for decades. Please stand as Ronald gives us his rendition.
I offer this benediction in memory of our fallen heroes. Dear God, dedication to duty of our fallen service members is the fiber of our freedom and democracy, and it is stronger by recognition of their service, valor, and sacrifice. Freedom and democracy are the result of the most honorable that this country has produced. Today we stand to remember the most honorable amongst us, and we must continue to carry the burden of their sacrifice, lest we lose sight of what true freedom is. Today is for honoring them, to remember the burden they carried, and to hold in our hearts the cause of freedom. We remember all of them today on Memorial Day. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the ceremony here at Mare Island. I would remind you that there is another ceremony later this morning at City Hall with the U.S. Submarine Combat Veterans. Thank you very much.